Without question, LEGO is one of the most successful toy companies of all time. Now, in 1978, they introduced a new line to the range, which in my opinion is the best thing they've ever done. And in particular, they made one set that was so good, they made it a further 2 times. So in this video, I will show you what I believe to be the greatest LEGO sets of all time. Stay tuned to find out more. Welcome back. Now, when LEGO first introduced their classic space line back in 1978, I was there from the beginning, and along with Kenner's Star Wars toys, Space LEGO definitely ranks amongst my most favourite toys of all time. Now, in 1979, they produced 3 sets, all very much of a similar vein, but to reach different price points, and I believe these are some of LEGO's finest works. So without further ado, let me show you what I believe to be the greatest sets LEGO ever created. So to start things off, we're going to look at set 918, which is also known as the Space Transport. Now this is a set that contained 86 pieces and came with one minifigure. Now you'll see on the side here it has the registration LL918, LL of course standing for Legoland and 918 being the set number. This is a theme we'll see continue with the other ships we look at in this video. Now this was the first ever space set I got as a kid, and I was over the moon to receive this. This was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen, because up until this point I was used to playing with a classic LEGO with the larger scale figures, and I had a few sets with minifigures, but of course those were all city based, and being a young lad I was very much a fan of space, and given that Star Wars was making big waves at the time, this was a wonderful set to receive. Now, as I said, 86 pieces. It's not an overly demanding build, it's something a kid can easily take care of. And there are 1 or 2 play features on this set. So first and foremost, we have the moving canopy that allows you to get access to the one and only figure that came with it. Was a red minifigure. And in this case, but this being my actual childhood version, it was a minifigure that came with a sticker showing the space emblem rather than the printed versions that came later. Other play feature includes opening doors on the back here. So there's one here and one on the other side. Now, unlike the other sets we'll look at shortly, there are no pieces of cargo to go in there, but if you so wish, you can put a little extra brick if you have one. But very much a simple build, but for a kid in 1979, this was the stuff of dreams, and to this day, this probably is my favourite LEGO set. But this is part 1. Let's go on to part 2, where we'll see something similar, but of a much grander scale. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. This is indeed an upscaled version of the first vehicle we looked at. This is in fact set 924, also known as the Space Transporter. Now just remember, the first set we looked at was called the Space Transport. This is Space Transporter. Now this contains 170 pieces and comes with not 1 but 2 minifigures, plus a forklift truck carrying some very important cargo. Now those of you with a keen eagle eye will spot that I have the wrong piece on this set. I bought this as a used set, and unfortunately the seller may have got confused when putting the set together. This piece actually belongs to set 6890, which is the Cosmic Cruiser. It has a slightly smaller emblem here. Otherwise the piece is the exact same, but in due course I will source the correct piece. So before we get any comments saying, hey, you've got the wrong piece on there, I know I do. Now this is a much grander version of the Space Transport that we just looked at, but it also came with a higher price. I don't remember the prices to hand because, you know, we're talking over 40 years ago, but the fact was this was not pocket money affordable. The first set was pretty close to being a pocket money toy depending on your status, I guess, but this was not something a kid could buy with his own pocket money. a really grand looking set. Now this little forklift truck here is carrying some important cargo, which just happens to be a green cylinder like so. Very common for the space sets to use these transparent pieces, but the reason that is there will be explained very shortly. Now in terms of play features, as with the first set we looked at, this has the canopy. This time it raises from the rear, and it came with two minifigures. So we got the red minifigure as the pilot, and the white minifigure is operating the forklift. Now unlike the first set, this has not one but two rocket thrusters on the back and a really interesting play feature. So the tailpiece is sort of secured with one blue tile that is easily removed and allows us to open the rear end like so. And this is all tiled inside, very smooth. So the forklift truck, I believe, can actually perform the function of dropping off the cargo like so. We can then push it into place like this. We can then close the doors and secure them with the blue tile. By today's standards, it's not necessarily groundbreaking, but back in the late 70s, it was quite fun to play with, and definitely something that would have given kids hours of entertainment. But this was set 924, the space transporter. But stay tuned, things are going to get even bigger. And finally, we have the granddaddy of the whole lot. This is set 928, called the Galaxy Explorer, and this time we have registration LL928. Now this one came with 338 pieces, and not one, not two, not even three, but four minifigures, two of each colour. It also came with two base plates, one being the crater plate and one being the lunar landing plate, and it also came with its own little space buggy. Now this set was out of reach for most kids back in the day. This thing was extremely expensive for the time, and as a result, this is one of the ones that I think once people like myself reach adulthood and have the income to indulge ourselves, this is one of the first things we go for, because at the time, back in the late 70s, early 80s, this was just a dream. As you can see, the exact same sort of concept as the first two vehicles, just on a really, really grand scale. Play features are indeed very similar. We have the canopy that releases up the way here, and as with the very first set we looked at, it does have the little doors here, although they serve no real purpose because you can't really access anything inside there. As with the previous set we looked at, set 924, access is granted in the rear end. Now this time we remove the small tile that holds everything in place. We open the hatch and we have this really cool play feature whereby the ramp can come down, the space buggy can reverse back up into position there. We can raise the ramp, close the doors, and everything fits securely inside. This was a wonderful play feature. And as you can see on the back here, four of these rocket pieces, which just looked so cool. Loads of translucent light pieces, massive thrusters on the wing here. This is just the best Lego set in my opinion. Now this one was so massive, as I said, it came with two base plates, one of which houses the command station with the figures can be performing maintenance or fine-tuning things. Massive radar dish. What an amazing set this is, and I am so happy after all these decades to finally have this one in my possession. And this is the granddaddy of all space sets. Yes, in the years that came after, there were fancier, more elaborate sets, but this is where it all began. And in my opinion, these space sets really are the ultimate items that came out of Lego. Now, in 1 second, we'll take a look at all three of these lined up, and I'm sure you will agree with me. What a wonderful sight this is. So as you can see here, where all three are lined up, this is an absolutely stunning view and something that was the dream of kids back in late 70s, early 80s. And seeing them together does bring back some really great memories of mine. And as I said before, in my opinion, these are some of Lego's finest work. And to finally get this in my collection makes me so happy indeed. I hope you enjoyed that look there at what I believe to be the greatest Lego sets. And if you do agree with me, please do leave a comment. If you don't agree, please also leave a comment. But I hope you had fun looking at these amazing sets and maybe it brought back some memories for you. So in closing, I want to say thank you so much for watching. Please just leave a like on the video. It only takes you a fraction of a second. Share the video if you wish. Do make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for more videos from All Things 80s.